Hello, everyone. Well, they did it. What's done is done. What's done is done, and there's no way to change it for maybe the next 50 years or so. Um, they've left it up to the states to outlaw abortion or to approve abortion as they see fit. And that since it's up to the states can outlaw it. The states can maintain it. Um, they can do anything they want in regards to abortion because they left it up to the states, and the states get to make the moral judgment. But Supreme Court basically ruled against abortion and overturned Roe versus Wade. And it seems to me that it wasn't the right decision, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't love babies. I do love babies. Um, but I can also see the other side too. I can see the pain that a mother feels at bringing her attacker's child into the world. The pain felt by rape victims at bringing their attacker's child into the world and not being powerless to prevent it. Everyone's against her. The state is against her. Her attacker is against her. Everyone's against her and makes her pay and makes her suffer for his deed. And that doesn't seem fair to me. That doesn't seem right. Being forced to bear your attacker's child and bring them into the world seems to me, and of course they inherit the attacker's genes and maybe become attackers themselves, so that the rape genes are spread around. So that's a bad thought. That's a bad thought, and I can see not wanting to bring one's attacker's child into the world, regardless of whether it's the woman's body or not. Um, it's a hard thing to bring an attacker's child into the world. And it's also a hard thing bringing a disabled child into the world that may have serious health problems and may even be cause a spontaneous abortion, a miscarriage. Anyway, if the mother's going to miscarry anyway, at 6 months or 9 months, when the mother's life will be in danger, then it isn't right to force the mother to bear a child with a fatal anomaly or some other. Now, people make a big deal about Down syndrome, and some mothers don't want to have a Down syndrome child, and others do, and say they love their Down's child and they wouldn't have it any other way, and how dare you not bear a Down's child. That's a controversy, but other than Downs, there's some fatal anomalies like two Ys without any X, two Ys from both sides, or it isn't from both sides, it's from the father. The father supplies two Ys and the mother fails to supply an X. That's very rare, but it does happen. It's fatal. It's a fatal anomaly. And so we have to think about this very carefully. If the mother's life is in danger, if the baby has a fatal anomaly, and if they're a rape victim, now they won't have the right, unless they go to another state and move to another state, they won't have the right to have an abortion. And there's been something like 65 million abortions since Roe v. Wade. And they make a big deal out of this, that there were so many abortions, and I guess it is a big deal. Taking it decade by decade, it's been more than 10 million abortions per decade, or a million abortions a year, over a million abortions a year. So that's a lot. And but mothers have to pick the best father for their child, right? What if what if the the father was unfit in some way? Like, what if the father was, you know, mentally challenged, or and maybe it gets worse each generation, like cretinism. Then I can see wanting to have an abortion. But see, on the other hand, there's lots of mothers that have perfectly okay fathers of their child, and they choose to have an abortion anyway because they don't want the responsibility of a child at that time in their life. So that might be considered a frivolous reason for an abortion. And in the case of rape, you really have to prove. In the case of rape, you have to prove, and rape is very hard to prove because usually there's no witnesses. And if there's no witnesses to a rape, you can't prove it. Or if people lie for the attacker, you can't prove it. So people are known to lie under oath. They do lie. So there's that. It's hard to prove that, so they just have to take the mother's word for it that she was raped. And a lot of women will claim they were raped when they weren't, just so that they can have the abortion. So there's lots of, and also another thing is that abortion can injure the mother's womb so that she can't have children. That it's rare, but it does happen. And another thing is that, well, besides considering the soul of the fetus that is traumatized by having been aborted and having been unwanted. There's also the idea that maybe the fetus feels pain, maybe the fetus suffers. At least in the second trimester, they do, and they want to ban abortion by 6 weeks in a lot of these states. And we don't know when the fetus begins feeling pain and experiencing it in a human way, or whether they can contemplate their death. Probably not, but it is possible. I suppose it's possible. I don't know. And no one knows. That's why it's so wrong for the Supreme Court to weigh in, that it's just purely religion based. It's based upon what their religious beliefs are, what their Christian religion teaches them. And it's a belief based, belief informed decision. So it isn't separation of church and state at all. It's belief based decision. And while some people may claim that abortion was the great genocide, the abortion was done with the consent of the mother. So, and of course, the mother's body is her own, but is she allowed to eject the fetus from her womb? That's the question. That's the real question. Who knows? Who knows who gets to make these decisions? Is it the Supreme Court? Are they the wisest in the land? Are they the wisest people who have ever lived? Can they weigh in and make a decision for the mother? It's a real humdinger of a question. It really, really weighs on one's conscience when one makes a decision for or against abortion for any mother. That's why I choose not to make a decision. What's done is done, and now women can't have abortions except in blue states. But abortion, of course, is a lousy business anyway. It's gruesome, and hard to conscience. But, it's at the same time, it's liberating for the mothers because, they don't have to take care of the child and raise the child then. And children stay out of the foster system, which is atrocious. I was abused as a foster child, so I know how bad it is. And I can only imagine an unwanted child and how they suffer. Because I've been unwanted at some point in my life. Basically, when I was a teenager, I was unwanted because my mom had changed her mind about wanting me. And, she tried to get me back as hard as she could, but only because of her principles. She wasn't too happy with me. And I wasn't too great of a teenager either. So, but just think about it. Think about the child being unwanted from birth because of who the father is. Because the father is a rapist or some other unpleasantries. There can be unpleasantries even when a woman was willing to have sex. Like she might have thought twice about it or not liked it and decided she didn't like the father, and tough luck, right? Tough luck. The Supreme Court says it's tough luck, it's on you. That was your decision and it's on you. And you can't have an abortion. I don't know. I don't know if the Supreme Court should be weighing in on this subject. I don't know if they should have the final say. I don't know if they're the wisest in the land or can make moral decisions for the rest of us. Because that's what they're doing. What they're doing is making moral decisions for the rest of us. And in the case of abortion, it's very tricky. Now, here's the thing. It seems as if Biden is anti-baby. It just seems that way because not only is he pro-abortion, but he also wanted children who are loved by their mothers to be starved to death with this formula shortage. It's deliberate. He wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal where he said we have to solve the problem of overpopulation. He said that. He said we have to solve the problem of overpopulation, and the name of the article is How I Learned to Love the New World Order. Not understanding when he said How I Learned to Love the New World Order that it was a play on How I Learned to Love the Bomb, which is pure sarcasm. And he didn't get that sarcasm. He really meant How I Learned to Love the New World Order. He really meant it. Nobody loves the bomb. And nobody loves the New World Order. Except for Biden. Biden, former Bush and Bush Jr., and H.G. Wells, who wrote a tract about a socialist new world order that's a one world government that controls everything people say, everything people do, and it's supposedly a utopian society. That's my idea of a dystopia. But for some, it's their utopia. They think a one world government would be so great. Then the wisest in the land can control all the little sheeples and all the little lemmings, control them from a distance for their best interests, and it isn't for their best interests. Like you there's only so far you can go in the lemmings game before it becomes impossible to proceed. And it's the same way with a one world government. Even if you had wise people in there, rather than Biden or Trump were total incompetent fools. Even if you had the wisest people in there, they couldn't make moral decisions for other people, like what they get to say, what they get to do, what they get to wear, where they get to live. They can't make decisions like that. But they want to. They want to really bad. And his formula shortage, I'm telling you right now what the elites are doing. I'm not talking about the elites in Washington. I'm not talking about senators or representatives or even the president. I'm talking about the money moguls behind the curtain. When they hear about this formula shortage for babies, it makes them laugh and laugh and laugh. They laugh like hell because they created it. They created this formula shortage. It was their deliberate action. And people are so worried about their babies now. They think it's funny because they hate babies. They hate babies and they hate human beings, and they think there's overpopulation, and it would be a great way to handle overpopulation by eliminating the babies first. And they laugh and laugh and laugh. They laugh like a villain. So the elites find this formula shortage actually really funny. And they love it that they gave us a choice between Biden and Trump. They love it that we're tied in knots and pretzel knots, wondering who we should vote for when we're going to get a choice between Tweedledum and Tweedledee, right? Recently, there's been a controversy about Trump throwing ketchup at a wall. They claim that he threw his dinner or his lunch at a wall, and the ketchup was dripping down the wall. And then the New Yorker magazine made a funny that it was a satire, and they don't tell you it's a satire until after the very end of the article. There's a box that says this is satire, but they faked what they thought Trump said about it, and they made something up. And now it's going to become a vicious rumor that's going to spread around. Did you read the New Yorker? Yeah, they claim that Trump said this about the ketchup dripping down the wall, that Giuliani would have been wearing the ketchup and it would have been dripping down like Giuliani's hair dye. They made that up. They made up something that Trump supposedly said. And it was supposedly a satire, but they don't tell you until the end that it's satire. And you would never know unless you went far enough down, scrolled far enough down after the article was over and saw that it was satire. So that's pretty tricksy. And the liberals have lots of tricksy things up their sleeve that they pull. They pull all sorts of shenanigans. But these things about Trump are just hearsay. That he wrapped his hands around the driver's clavicle or the driver's neck and tried to strangle him. They're saying that he reached for the man's clavicle and tried to take control of the wheel. Because the Secret Service man was taking him to safety against his will. He said that he wasn't in any danger from those people that were at the January 6th rally. He wanted to go there and lead them himself. So, there's that. Making a controversy out of Trump saying he's unfit to lead because he has a vicious temper. And he does this and he does that. And it's all hearsay. There's no proof. There's no physical evidence or tape recorded or videotaped evidence. It's just one person's word against Trump's. And supposedly a witness to this. It was Hutchinson that testified to the January 6th committee. It's getting really low down, nasty, drawn out, all fire pokers in the fire, nasty, dirty political tricks. That's what this January 6th hearing is. It's nasty, dirty political tricks to manipulate how you vote. And so is this thing about abortion. They know that they can bring out all their old stumpers and get out the vote with the issue of abortion because it's so near and dear to some people's hearts that they get to have an abortion. It's so near and dear to their hearts that they know that they can get out the vote and stomp for Biden. Stomp, 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 stomp. Stomping for Biden. This thing about abortion is there's two sides and the country is divided, but not right down the middle. About 79% of people approve of abortion. And there's very few people that say that they don't know or are undecided, like myself. Like, I don't think that anyone should be making these decisions. I don't think they should make decisions because they're messing with life and death and they don't know what they're doing. No one is wise enough to know whether it's right or not. So it really should be a decision between the mother and her doctor. But is it enough to sway my vote? Do I care whether abortion gets banned, or do I care about the lives of these babies that are being starved of their formula? And now Biden is saying he wants the New World Order. Biden wants the New World Order, just like H.W. Bush wanted the New World Order and his son wanted the New World Order. Now Biden wants the New World Order and he's stomping for that. And his idea of a New World Order is a socialist utopia, which is really a dystopia, where nobody gets to say one word, lift one finger, own one gun, or do anything without the permission of the world government. And the world government probably will consist mostly of Muslim states. That's who controls the UN now. It's Muslims, because they're most populous. They have the most populous country, so the Muslims control the UN. And they're not friends of the U.S. at all. They're not our friends. They're not going to make the best decision for us. They're going to make the best decision for themselves. And it will be worse than socialism. It'll be a totalitarian state over the whole world. It's a dream of these madmen who want to control the world, just like Rome controlled the civilized world for 1,000 years. They're hoping that their one world government lasts forever, but if it doesn't last forever, they're hoping it'll at least last 1,000 years and that no one can undo it once it's done. So that's what Biden wants to get us into, is this one world government. And apparently he loves Kamala so much, she must want it too. So even if Biden dies, Kamala will be there to carry on for him after he's gone and to institute the one world government, get us into it. But they can't do it without an active Congress. And so they're pushing real hard to get liberal senators and representatives, true elitists, into the Congress this next election. We have to fight it. Biden pretended to be a moderate, and he lied. He lied his ass off. And now he's trying to get the New World Order passed through. He has to pass it through Congress. Supreme Court can't rule on the New World Order, although I'm sure they would like to try. But he would have to get an act of Congress to get it through. And they're just taking baby steps right now, leading us toward a new world order right now, giving the UN greater and greater powers gradually. Like, they won't even take an act of Congress because the UN will have these powers. And then the UN's new powers can be challenged in U.S. courts. And the liberal judges that are elitists, who also want the New World Order, will vote in favor of the UN. Telling you that's what's coming next. So, be strong. Resist the New World Order however you can. I'm pretty sure that Trump will not be in favor of the New World Order, although he is in favor of being King of America. But maybe a King of America is better than the New World Order, eh? You don't know what you're laying yourself in for when you go for the New World Order. Depopulation of the whole earth. Depopulation for the sake of the environment, which is just an excuse. The elitists really hate human beings. They want just enough humans to be their slaves. They just want human slaves and no more than is necessary to be their slaves, to be their servants, and to take care of the elites. They just want a few good slaves left over and depopulate the rest. That's all they want, folks. That's what they want. They want to depopulate the rest. So be strong. Stand against anyone who mentions the New World Order to you. And hold on and don't give in. Keep speaking out and speaking your mind against this New World Order, because it can just only get uglier and uglier. And we want this beautiful world to stay just like it is now, except maybe with a little less socialism. And I'll see you next time.